call it the Animal Shelter Record Management System software database thing, but it's a horrible name, so we scrapped it. Let's see. Oh, guys. More guys. Okay. General overview, it's just a record management software to be a cheap alternative to what animal shelters really use currently. There are really two main competitors that we have, and both of them cost like $300 a year for a subscription. And we kind of want it to be more like free per year. So, kind of one of our main goals is to help shelters increase the rate of adoption and like finding the owners of lost pets and things like that. Because the only way you're gonna, the biggest problem that shelters have is that they need to be able to adopt out all of their animals. Because if they don't adopt them out, then they just have to euthanize them. Another goal of it is to generate statistics from each organization that's a member of it. They will like say how many animals they have, what types of animals, all that stuff, so you can get it. You can see, okay, I'm in New York, I'm in Albany County, all the shelters in this area. What are their numbers? And there's kind of a web interface portion of it to allow them to easier communicate with their communities and surroundings. This is a graph I put up. It's kind of a crappy graph, but there's really three parts to it. There's a management program, which is installed on the computers of that the animal shelters own. And there's really two main parts of that. There's animal management, where they say, okay, here's a new animal. I'm going to do a surgery on this animal, or give them medication or something like that. And then there's budget and HR stuff, like volunteers and other miscellaneous things. And that connects to a server that's built with MySQL databases, and all that data gets saved on a personal server, and also gets compiled into statistics that can be seen on the website. And then the website has the organization profiles, the animal profiles for, say, it's kind of like a Facebook for them, right? You see an animal at a shelter and you go, okay, I want this dog or cat or whatever. Not all of this is implemented yet. That's kind of the grand plan. Okay, so this is kind of what we've worked on recently. We've been working on this project since the most recent summer semester, and we've been able to generate a bunch of test data for animals. We don't really have real animals to work with yet. We haven't really interacted to get that type of data, so we just made like a bunch of fake stuff. We were able to host all this data on a database on a server. It used to be that we had just local ones that weren't actually
we used to, before I found out that you could get your free hosting on myRPI.org, we had everyone have to install like a MySQL server, local copy, and host it there. But we changed that a few weeks ago.
We also have we were able to graph the statistics that we've been able to compile.
Yes, there are statistics. Right now, it's just bar charts, pie charts, they're looking more sort of line track, matching things.
It's hard because we don't really,
Also, Ariel is working on that.
we don't have real data to get like practical statistics, right? So it's all like randomly distributed and then generated, so it's kind of not really like that.
The ability to search used to work, but Michael did an overhaul of the database thing, so that doesn't really work anymore. And then we have a website type thing started. We didn't have one last semester, but we started now. Jacob kind of implemented that a little bit.
Yeah, so pretty much what it is just a website where you can search through the different shelters, and it'll just be a front page for the project where you can download the software and then also go look at the individual shelters and see what they have put up, and pretty much it's an ability to host for these shelters where they don't have to pay anything.
Actually, do a little demo here. So this is what we have currently.
Yeah, it's just like a, yeah, it's literally I use random numbers there. It's like,
Yeah, so you can click all these and their data comes up more in-depth amount of data on this side right here. This is supposed to be a little picture box, but that's not really implemented. But you can kind of go through it.
yeah.
There's this used to be the search area, where, well, I guess it still is, it's just another function, where you can choose what species you want to go, that size, things like that, and then get one of these.
Yeah, we're trying to make it more user friendly.
Yeah.
But
and then also we have this here, statistics. I don't know how this works.
just hit the buttons.
Okay. Cool. Pie chart.
You do your
Looks like the other ones.
Yeah.
So these are kind of statistics that we have compiled off of our list of animals, and this one's like date of birth with a general range of when the animal was born and things like that.
I think that something happens where
Oh,
no, it's a Zoom. It's a brick got messed up over.
oh, it's probably a resolution. That's what it is.
Maybe.
This projector gives us a little bit of resolution.
Yeah, we don't.
All in your
Yeah, just go to the bird. Told you right there. It's just that's wait, that's never happening.
Don't worry about it.
So it's kind of our demo. It's got some work to go.
And then show the film creator.
Oh, well, I forgot about that. Here's a mini one.
There's not much to talk about.
Yeah.
So form creator is where animal shelters could foreseeably create forms for themselves with various field boxes. We're talking about overhauling this to be a little easier to work with, like have text boxes fit to a grid rather than like freely placed. But yeah, this one's kind of still pretty underdeveloped.
So I guess it's kind of right down. There we go. Jasmine, right before this, she's like, I'm just going to put as many cat slides in here as I can. Okay, what's next? As Jacob was talking about, there's a website portion where you can check through all the organizations that exist, right? But we don't actually have any of those organizations that you search for yet. So we have to generate test data for that, so that you can search them, just, you know, a proof of concept to show it works. The graphing is currently, you know, it's in its basic form. It needs a little more work, so we're going to do more of that. We want to implement the ability on the website part of it to have the animal and owner profiles, because, you know, an owner maybe say, you know, adopts animals a lot, or is like a foster and takes in animals and gives them back to the shelter frequently. You might need a profile for that. We've got some bunch of gooey stuff that's not really working out so well for us right now. Some bugs that we're going to try and fix. And then the biggest feature that we want to implement next is the budget and HR management stuff. For the software right now, we only have the animal side. That's all we worked on. We're, you know, close to done with it, but the other half of it is the budget and the HR, you know, how much money is the shelter spending and all that stuff that we want to implement. Here we go. 10 more cats. That's it. Okay. Thank you, RCOS, Goldschmidt, Morphy, Sean O'Sullivan. Any questions?
So, with the form creation, this is not just really animal shelters. Like you could
Ideally, in the end, you could basically do whatever you want, just change it to the same.
Yeah.
So it could be like a general recommend. Which would probably, commit this and then end up, you know, changing to any of those.
That basis is actually for supervillains to share. And it can be used for a lot of things. But
Yeah, it could be, you know, kind of abstracted to, you know, from the medical field or something like that, or any other type of thing. You want to do records where someone wants to make their custom record type things. And right now, that's the application that we have it for, but I'm sure we could easily get one. good for some of them applications.
Is this intended to have like an animal added to the system when they're taken into the animal shelter, when they're adopted, or what?
So they'll either take an animal, it's on the shelter have the software, so if they take in an animal, like someone surrenders it to them, or animal services brings them one in, they'll add it. Well, first, hopefully it'll check if there are any others in the system, maybe it came from somewhere else, to try and find the owner or another shelter that it came from, something like that. And if not, then it'll create a new animal and add it to the database.
Because I was just thinking, if it's just coming in off the street, a lot of that information isn't going to be available. So, like under the location.
Oh yeah. Some of this is definitely not going to be.
Well, I mean, you just fill out what you have.
Yeah.
And then when you get more, you can edit and add stuff. Like you can add forms like eventually we're planning to add. You can like scan in the paper forms they had already for if they're adding animals that they already have in shelter, and then that would be a form like neutering and stuff like that. Surgery forms.
So I noticed there are some duplicates in the current one. Is that, I guess, just an artifact of the test data, or is that a bug?
Michael randomly generated. He's saying that there's some duplicates.
Yeah, it's randomly generated, so it's really
It's not meant to be a long-term solution.
yeah, it's deleted after that's that. I mean, also the whole point is that some animals don't have.
So you're using my RPI to go up to hosting?
That's currently what we have.
The front-end interface has been down for about a month.
No, I went there like 2 days
You
ago.
gotta do blogs or something, or host.io, the actual main domain.
Yeah, they've had some reliability problems in the past.
Yeah, I mean, the servers seem to be fine, just the actual main domain can access machines and do like host.io.
Yeah, there's a lot of individual pieces that are broken, but the overall works fine.
And as I was saying, the whole point is that names can also, they don't have to be unique, because some animals can be named like have that.
That's true. Every animal is supposed to have
Yes, overall.
has a unique ID. So even if two animals, are both named Spot or something like that, you can still figure out which one is which based on the ID if you brought them or something like that multiple times.
And what this also can be used for is, let's say you lose an animal, and a lot of the shelters in the area have been using this. If your dog or your animal is tagged, you can then search it by name if they found it and see if it's in the area, or by description or something else like that. And you can pretty much make it easier to search for a lost animal.
Have you considered having some of them have little chips in their back? Like, I know my dog's got a little identification chip put in. Do you have any functionality, or are you planning?
We don't currently, but we were planning definitely a little farther down the road being able to read in the RFIDs because it's like a standard data thing that they operate under. And a lot of the shelters obviously have the scanner thing, so we definitely were hoping to have that because if you could match up an RFID tag to something else, then it's like DNA fingerprinting or something.